In 1882, Lizzie Borden's parents were brutally murdered in their home in Fall River, Massachusetts. Lizzie was arrested and put on trial for the murders, but was ultimately found not guilty. But many still believe she committed the crimes based on the evidence against her. The house, now a bed and breakfast, is the site of various hauntings allegedly involving Lizzie and her stepmother. And apparently there are child ghosts or something. Let's explore the Lizzie Borden Murder House. Welcome to Ghost Binkers.
Welcome, Bink Squad.
Nope.
How do we feel about that? Bink Squad.
I like it. I like it.
What's up, Binkers?
I'm into Bink Squad.
Hey, Ghoulie Pops.
I like all of these.
Ghoulie Pops is somehow better. Yeah.
Just look up what Sabrina Carpenter calls her fans and put Bink in there somewhere, you know?
I'm Trev. I want to believe in ghosts ever so badly.
Oh, you're passing to me.
Yep.
I'm Brett, and if a ghost wants to be with me, they can.
I'm killing ghosts aren't real. I'm sorry. I feel so you should go to me first so I can be like, ghosts aren't real. I hate them. Because what happens is someone's like, oh, ghosts could be real. And I lose my energy.
Now, together, the three of us are the Ghost Binkers. However, we have our very first ghost analyst
Bink Squad
joining
inductee.
us.
I didn't realize
a special guest.
I would call him a guest binker.
Guest?
Instead of
guest
a ghost
binker?
binker. Because we're
Oh,
ghost binkers.
a guest
God.
binker.
What about-
What about a Bink turn?
A bink turn. Like bink turn.
That makes it seem like I have to get you guys coffee. I think I'm out on that.
Did you not get the coffee? Well, we have with us Jimmy.
What's happening, folks?
Jimmy, now we've talked about how we feel about ghosts. How do you feel about ghosts?
I'm a ghost guy. I think ghosts are a thing.
on a
They're there.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe in ghosts?
I believe in ghosts a lot. Like probably like an 8.
yeah.
But there are definitely some like situations that I'm very skeptic of. Like
That's fair.
There's some like real bullshit going on in the ghost world.
Have you personally been ghosted?
Yeah. I've
Like, you have
experienced. I've had
ghoulish experience.
experience.
You have ghoulish
Yes,
experiences.
I have
Yeah.
ghoulish,
Hell yeah.
otherworldly experience.
So we have very obviously a story about Lizzie Borden, local to the Bridgewater Triangle, which we talked about.
Kind of. Apparently,
it's not part of the triangle.
Extends across the entire Earth.
I don't think it's part of the triangle.
It's not part of the triangle, but
It's triangle adjacent. It's
adjacent.
tangential
It
to
is
the triangle.
adjacent.
Next week we'll find out the triangle goes to fucking Burlington, Vermont or something. So, you know,
it's not a triangle at all.
it just keeps getting bigger every time I hear about it. It's in Raynham half the time.
Before we get into the story, I do have just 2 fun little updates.
About the case or about banking in general.
So, I have an update on last week's episode. The funniest part of the entire episode is that Chris bought a book at half price.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want to pay full price for it. I looked up the cost of the book. It's like $40. It's like $46.
Jesus.
Okay, so
Holy
it's like an academic textbook, a small academic
wonder.
textbook.
Well, cost wise,
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean.
It's not.
Well,
it's not
okay,
academic.
don't
how thick
insult.
is it? How many pages?
I don't know.
We didn't
Like,
read
how
this.
thick is
We
the
didn't
thing?
read this book. This guy could be skeptical and just collecting stories. You know, the way the book is described. He doesn't have to be like ghosts are real. They leave ectoplasm on the street.
Yeah,
you know, whatever.
yeah.
Like we don't know how goofy the book is, but
yeah, $46-ish.
okay, so I guess he was like, okay,
Yeah, that's
So-
justified.
yeah.
I mean, it's
I'd
still
be waiting for sale.
He binked the price of that
I do
book.
think it's
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
because he clearly was not handling a light haunting from this ghost well. Like his experiences were not the most intense, and he was already pretty broken up about it. So the fact that like, come on, $40 for something that terrorizes you.
That's fair.
I feel like if he goes a week without bringing that ghost up, you're lucky. If you're talking to Chris,
He was going through it for sure.
Especially even after you've become friends with the author.
Yeah.
Like you figured you would want to support your friend.
I would think maybe the author would just want to hook him up.
Yeah.
But, you know.
I think he
that just
talked
makes
to the
sense.
author. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
No, I think the story said they developed like a close relationship.
Something like
yeah, but that was Chris saying that. If you talk to Professor Ghostington, he might be like, no, thank you.
That's fair. The second update that I have is on our Bink scale. There was a little bit of controversy.
Controversy. Just we thought about it for 20 seconds. I think. If I may,
Yeah.
what we realized was that if we give something 10 binks, it means we really don't believe in it, which just feels kind of stupid. It feels dumb to be like 10 binks.
feels opposite.
It feels very much opposite. So what
Yeah.
we're gonna do is we're gonna make it the opposite.
Yeah. So the smaller the number,
Yeah.
the less we believe.
Yeah.
And the bigger the number, the more we believe.
I have a small update
Oh.
too as well, which is that my mother has discovered that this podcast exists through my family. So there's a chance you might hear it one day. She's very disappointed in me being a skeptic because my mother wants to haunt me. I don't know how else to describe it. She was like, "Oh, I want it when I die." Well, first of all, I don't think she even like believes in ghosts, but she wants to believe in ghosts
Just
so
so
that
she
she can
can be-
haunt me.
yeah.
And she was like, "Well, I
That's
want."
so good.
Well, she was
That's
like,
so
"Oh,
messed up.
she was like, I want to visit you guys when I'm dead," and I'm like, "That's a haunting. You want to terrorize me?"
But she wants to be like Casper. She wants to be
The friendly ghost.
Yeah, the friendly ghost.
But like, what if I can't see her, and she just knocks shit over?
You'll know. You'll know.
So I told her to like, come back and cook trifle. Like,
I was gonna say, she like
you know,
tries to make you
be
cookies
useful.
or something, but
Yeah.
she knocks things down, and you're like, "Oh, there's a ghost in here."
So I think she's currently developing like a password so we can communicate to each other, which also sucks because like I would like, I don't know how I feel about the afterlife, but if souls are real, I'd like her to go to heaven.
not exist on this
I would not
plane.
like her to be stuck in like maybe my old
Cranston,
house
Rhode
in
Island.
Providence. Yeah, and then I move and she's just in a different place.
that's true. If you move, like, did she come with you?
How does she track you?
I moved to Seattle and
You
she
have
has
to
to walk across
You have to get
the
a
continent of
doll.
the United States.
You get a doll that she can possess, and you can take her with
That
you.
sounds horrible.
Speaking of horrible, Jimmy, are you familiar with the poem? Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Have you heard that before?
Yes. Like probably too many times.
Yeah. Since you also live near the Bridgewater Triangle,
also-
we're all familiar.
Also, my coworker claims that her grandparents are somehow related to Lizzie Borden.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Because her grandmother's maiden name is a Borden and grew up on the same street, even though it was on the other
Yeah,
side of Fall
ridiculous-
River. For some reason. It was like way too far away.
Just the thinnest of
I mean,
margins.
the
she says that way too
1890s, if you
often.
were aborted in Fall River, you
that's
probably
true.
were.
Yeah.
related.
And also, they had like 2 residences. We'll talk about it. Not a lot, but we will. I'll bring it up very briefly.
One
just
quick
saying.
thing to the poem, we should test this as Binkers. We should get an axe and just hit something 80 times and see how long that takes. Because I feel like that's got to take fucking forever.
It's gonna be
That's fair.
exhausting.
And
Have
be
you
exhausting.
ever cut down a tree with an axe?
Yeah, it sucks.
It's
Yeah.
horrible.
It's awful, brother.
Well, it was actually really enjoyable, right? You feel like powerful, but
I used to split logs, and that was okay. But like first 5 swings, you're like, I'm a lumberjack, and then the next 5 swings, you're like, my back is going to explode. I'm bleeding
80
inside my
swings.
body. Yeah.
Well, was it a hatchet though, or was it like an axe?
Even so, I
You
feel
know?
like- I
It's
feel
like a little
like-
hatchet. You can swing that sucker away.
Look, my experience with any kind of repetitive motion is you start getting up past 20, and you're like, I did not realize that.
You fatigue out real
I don't know,
quick.
you ever try to raise your hand in class after being
Muscle
10?
endurance exists.
Yeah.
You do this, and then after 30 seconds, you're like, my fucking shoulder is going to disconnect.
I have no empirical evidence, but I would believe that a human body is easier to chop through than a tree. So it might,
I would
it
get-
might, it might be a little bit easier than chopping through a tree.
Slightly.
Brett's like,
how would you know,
bones,
Brett?
baby?
That's why I said I have no empirical evidence. I prefaced.
I have no empirical evidence, but they feel nothing alike. They're so different. The energy you get from killing a person makes you go faster.
If the hatchet is sharp, it will cut.
But if it's dull, it's more fun.
Anyway, this murder just sounds like it took 45 minutes
Also,
just for
yeah,
the chopping
yeah.
alone.
Does her father like? Was he deaf?
We'll get into that because I assume.
Well, we'll definitely get into
Was he
it.
deaf?
I
Like-
think if we're going to eschew something about the story, we're going to get rid of the number of cuts first. That's going to be out the window.
think-
Crazy thing you mentioned, and you didn't like elaborate on this. She was ruled innocent,
Yes.
which feels
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get into
feels
that.
like a big win for ladies. I feel like it must have been pretty tough to get ruled innocent as a woman in anything.
We'll talk about that too.
A baby died, and they were like, "All right, I guess we got to throw you into the fucking ocean, you harlot, you know, like you witch." Yeah.
So
You're left-handed, burner.
true.
And they were like, "Oh, you were covered in blood? Yeah, whatever. Happens to the best of us."
I will start with a little bit of backstory, and this backstory is given to us by from the website Ghost Walks, and this is written by Ghost Guide Daniel.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel, not Dan.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Daniel. He prefers Daniel.
Crazy that he doesn't go with Dan, to be honest.
In 1845, a 2-family home was built in Fall River, Massachusetts. Remained 2-family until Andrew Borden bought it in the mid-1800s. And he converted it into a large single-family home for his family. It's inside this house Lizzie Borden was born in 1860. Only 3 years later, her biological mom, Sarah, was dead. There is no...
Should we have pulled back?
No,
I thought you just got
Did baby Lizzie Borden
It was,
kill her mother?
it was 1860. Someone probably sneezed within
There
80
is-
feet of her.
Gasp.
I think she just saw her daughter turn 3 and she was like, time to go.
I am out.
Like, she's a grown woman now.
I got roughly 28 years to get the fuck out of here before I get clapped up.
3 years after that, her father remarried a woman named Abby. In those days, at 37 years old, Abby wasn't considered marriage material.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Ancient. He marries an ancient woman, 37 years old.
Andrew, why are you marrying a good 14-year-old like the rest of us?
To marry a man of Andrew's stature in Fall River was surprising.
Was he like 6'2"?
I
was
think.
gonna say it's like just a bunch of little Portuguese people, and then there's one dude
So
like 6'5".
the Borden family was quite wealthy.
Yeah.
Some say Andrew didn't love her and was only seeking a replacement mother for his daughters, Lizzie and Emma.
I feel like the some say is kind of doing a lot of work there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I'm
You
saying.
think it's just one person?
Some say Ghost Guy Dan has a huge penis. Some people have said it's the biggest they've ever seen.
Lizzie and Emma hated Abby, sarcastically calling her Mrs. Borden, avoiding her company and refusing to sit down to family meals.
I thought they'd have a better nickname. Yeah, right. I thought it was going to be meaner.
Well, I think the idea is just like, well, I'll never
She's
call
not
you
actually-
mom.
yeah, she's not actually-
What is the sarcastic part of that? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mrs.
whatever you say,
Borden.
Mrs. Borden.
I mean, you might as well call her
My dad doesn't love you, Borden.
Abby. You might as well just say her name.
yeah,
I don't know.
right.
Yeah, or Abigail, I feel like hits harder. Like, whatever you say, Abigail.
Yeah, but that's because it feels like an old lady name now.
Yeah.
Because it was Lizzie Borden's mother.
Do you think it was like young and hip back then?
Yeah. It's like whatever you say.
It would have been cooler if they called her grandma because she was like so old American.
I tried to think of a trendy girl name, but I couldn't. I couldn't think of any trendy girl names.
So Jimmy, if you want to just give me a little wiggle on that screen over there.
Didn't turn the screensaver off.
So I'm showing you guys a picture of Abby Borden.
You're showing me
there.
and Brett a picture of Abby Borden.
Jimmy,
You're not
you can,
showing Jimmy
you-
shit.
Jimmy, you can turn around and look at the picture.
You can see it on your.
Yeah,
That's not Abby
Oh.
Borden.
Oh, I already saw it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess you can just see it in my notes. You're sitting next to me. You can see.
She's a baddie.
That's Abby. That's the stepmother.
Yeah,
That is the
stepmom.
stepmother, Abby Borden. And for all you binkers at home, you at-home binkers, we'll have this on our Instagram for you to
Bink
take
or
a look
bonk?
at.
So not even smash your past murder victims from 100 years ago.
I'd like to just retroactively bink the nursery rhyme. Lizzie Borden gave her stepmother 40 whacks.
Yeah. No, not a very detail heavy rhyme.
That's a great point, Brett.
Mrs.
I gotta say-
Borden.
Yeah. Gave Abigail 40 whacks.
In defense of Ms. Borden over there, horrendous fit. Awful haircut. Probably looks like a regular mom if she isn't wearing a fucking half of a tuxedo and has her hair up like
Are those braids? Like I
the
can't really
front
tell what
third
it
of her head looks like a broccoli head TikTok kid, and the rest looks like it's a fucking buzz cut military style. I have no clue what the fuck is going on there. And there's like either is like a paint swatch or a random strand of hair coming off the back of her head. It's unclear. A disaster.
She kind of looks like Trunchbull.
No, he's
A little
very
bit,
mad at
yeah.
Trunchbull, for sure.
Yeah, no, I see it. As emotional revenge, Andrew and Abby turned the house into a stern and loveless place. It caused Lizzie to feel neglected.
Well, I mean, he didn't love her to begin with.
Also-
so he didn't love Abigail, so it was already a loveless place.
Also,
right.
by the way, it's 1890. Bitch,
Yeah, nobody
bitch, you
loved
could be
anybody,
working
dude.
in a fucking meat packing factory. Shut up, loveless house. You could get your legs stuck in the sausage machine. You fool.
Is that Andrew?
Oh, it's coming up. I was like, it's not coming up. I can't drag it over. You guys are seeing it. Yeah, that's Andrew.
He looks like an old ass Lincoln, right?
Yeah.
We don't think that's the Lincoln in disguise. The Andrew, he just looks a little Lincoln-y.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I guess he kind of married up.
Do we know what?
Yeah,
he was,
no, I think he might
punching.
have.
do we know what he was wealthy from?
No,
I'm gonna guess child labor. Type in on Grok. What was President Lincoln's first name?
Abraham.
Abraham, not Andrew. I was like, I knew it was an A name, and my brain was like, Abraham, Andrew Lincoln. He's grown
Yeah,
up.
it's the same. Yeah.
And I realized, like, I don't think that's his name.
Andrew Borden began as a carpenter's helper.
What? I'm gonna guess he didn't make his money as a carpenter's helper.
Very lucrative.
I'm gonna assume he
Owned some type of business.
textiles or lumber.
He was a carpenter. And
Yeah.
Then he left to manage his uncle Thomas.
This is the part where he makes the money.
Keep reading.
What you're saying right now is the important part.
Uncle Thomas Borden's okay. So he
property.
managed a property
makes more
management.
sense.
Oh, okay.
Landlord.
Yeah, and also that explains why he converted the house because he was a
Yeah,
carpenter.
and that's also
Okay.
why they had multiple properties.
That's also why they had a lot of axes. I'm guessing.
I'm also waiting for Killian's microaggression to come alive.
I don't. Yeah, no, I don't respect his money. Obviously,
Anger deepened within the sisters' suspicion of Abby's monetary intentions. So basically, they're just calling her a gold digger.
Yeah.
They knew she was after Andrew's money and status. Their father fell into the spell
that's
of
Andrew. He
buying
owns
her
Uncle Thomas's business.
He bought her many lavish gifts.
Yeah.
So
Which in
What was
1890
lavish?
was
Yeah.
like
soap,
yeah,
a doll.
a flower, one singular flower.
now, I will say, I didn't include this in like the information I gathered, but I did read that he was a cheapskate.
Yeah.
And they did not have plumbing, which was common for like wealthy people at that time. But he was like, miss me with all that plumbing shit.
Yeah, I don't
What
need
is-
that.
What does
I'll
that
just-
cost? $50?
He was a carpenter, not a plumber. So.
I'll dump my sewage on the street just like Rome did.
The cool part of this story is every time as a child I just assumed some dumb shit. It ends up being correct because they were such a weird old family. I was like, yeah, you had the shit outside back then. And they were like, well, he was so cheap, he actually did. And I was like, yeah, I'm really smart 8-year-old.
So we'll move into the death of Andrew and Abby. This was on Thursday, August 4th, 1892.
Tomorrow?
So you guys want to see some dead bodies?
No.
Give it a second. Give it a sec.
It's really spooky and it's worth it.
It's just dragging the photo up. Whose body is that?
That is
I'm assuming that's Abigail.
that's Abby's body.
What do you mean you're assuming that's Abigail? It's a shirt and a lump.
That's Abby Borden's dead
It
body.
looks like a feminine shirt and lump.
Okay.
And then here's Andrew Borden's body.
Look earlier. Come on. In this, I cannot discern a single part.
He's
of that
wearing
image.
pants. It's the 1890s.
That's fair.
It's the
That's great.
1800s. That's the best
Look,
camera they had.
I was hoping he looked girlier. Is all. He's just got wide ass hips. I'm like, yes.
She's definitely bulkier than him, though. Like, you can tell by those legs.
Well, she's
scrawny guy.
She's what's the word? She's like Rubenesque.
Surly.
She's Rubenesque. She's
Like
you know,
Ruben stuttered.
Like that's where the word comes from. No, you know she's soft. You know?
And again, for the binkers at home, if you want to see these pictures,
Google it, I guess.
Instagram. We'll have it on our Instagram at Ghost Binkers.
You're gonna. I don't know if Instagram's gonna let you post headless bodies. You might have to.
That's a great
You might
point.
have to blur these.
That's a great point.
I also wouldn't do that.
Oh,
to
you
our
know what? No,
fans.
I'll put it in the Ghoulie Bites.
Ghoulie Bites, yeah.
I'll put it in the Ghoulie Bites. You can read. Click on the link. You know.
the coolie bites.
I can't believe you were gonna post literal gore.
I know.
on Instagram.
I cannot believe you're gonna post that.
I
either.
guess the videos have like people getting decapitated sometimes if you go in the wrong reels section.
Wild.
You know.
I think if you mark it as educational, you can get away with it.
This podcast certainly feels that way so far.
After breakfast, Andrew went on a morning walk around 9 a.m. Abby went upstairs sometime between 9 and 10:30 to make the bed. According to the forensic investigation, Abby was facing her killer at the time of the attack. She was first struck on the side of the head with a hatchet, which cut just above her ear, causing her to turn and fall face down on the floor, creating contusions on her nose and forehead. Her killer then struck her multiple times, delivering 17 more direct hits to the back of the head, killing her.
Close to 40.
Not
No,
even
yeah.
close
Also-
to 40.
Also,
not even.
a hatchet, not an axe.
Yeah, well, kind of a small axe, I guess. But
What's the difference?
Hatchets are small.
little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hand,
Which makes
Axe
sense.
is like
one
big-
hand,
So-
axe, two hands.
That was going to be my main question. Was like, if the murder weapon was actually an axe, it would make less sense
to do the
that
big hits.
like
40 big hits.
A young lady
Yeah, would
would
swing that fucking
be
thing.
able to
But
swing it 40
it's a
times.
hatchet. You only swung it 17 times. So that's
Yeah.
just.
I know, you
that's
could've
pretty-
gotten to 40.
You could get
You
at
can
least
get to 20
35.
You can get to 20 at least.
When Andrew returned at around 10:30 a.m., his key failed to open the door, so he knocked. Their maid went to unlock the door, finding it jammed. She would later testify that she heard Lizzie laughing at the top of the stairs.
Okay, you didn't hear
didn't
17
hear-
whacks
exactly.
against the floor.
What?
That's true.
When my guinea pigs move too fast upstairs in their cage, I can hear it through the floor. And you're telling me that the maid didn't hear someone get hit 17 times with a hatchet
in a house built
That's a
in
great point.
1850 or whatever.
exactly.
by the shittiest carpenter of all time. By an assistant of the Uncle Thomas's carpenter business.
Exactly.
This was considered significant as Abby was already dead by this time and her body would have been visible to anyone on the home's second floor. Lizzie later denied being upstairs and testified that her father had asked where Abby was, to which she replied that a messenger had delivered Abby a summons to visit a sick friend. So Lizzie's like, I was not on that second floor. That's, all right. Now, the maid stated that she had removed Andrew's boots and helped him into his slippers before he lay down on the sofa for a nap. Just tuck him down for a little nap. He's all tuckered out from his morning walk.
Quickly interrupted. I feel like the
there's-
fucking maid did it, right? She's got to be guilty. She feels
You
guilty
know,
as hell right now.
You had to have
when
at
I
least
was
been a
doing
suspect.
when I was
Right.
doing my research,
Hopefully.
I was also thinking that.
I'm getting a lot of maid vibes.
Basically, the point of this sentence is that the maid said she took his boots off, but the photos show Andrew
yeah, the
wearing
boots
boots.
I couldn't see because he was just a smudge.
Jimmy, give that a little wiggle there. Here,
That's a woman.
no, I got it.
Okay.
Look at his boots.
He doesn't look like he's wearing slippers there.
Can you
got
zoom in
boots.
on the boots? This is within your power
Enhance.
for sure.
Not really.
Enhance.
Oh, those are boots, man.
Yeah, those are
Those are boots.
Those are not slippers.
Yeah,
or
they
they're
look
or they're
leather.
really reflective socks. Just really uncomfortable, reflective, really sweaty socks.
She testified that she was in her third floor room resting from cleaning windows when just before 11:10 a.m. she heard Lizzie call from downstairs.
Maggie, come quick. Father's dead. Somebody came in and killed him.
What?
I mean, that's what I expect to hear.
So, I mean,
Someone killed my
I
dad.
mean,
Yeah.
I'd expect someone to yell about it and someone to hear it.
I honestly, I feel like
Guiltiest maid of all time.
well, no, I feel like Lizzie. So I do think it's the maid at this point, which is weird. You changed my mind, but I think that is she wouldn't have responded that calmly.
Maggie, come quick!
Like if I walked in and saw my dad dead on a couch, I would just be crying. I wouldn't say anything.
The addition of someone came in and killed him is a little suspicious.
Yes.
To be fair,
Yeah.
To be fair to Elizabeth Borden, if your father was dead and there was like the bloodiest hatchet of all time within a foot of him, you'd be like, I think someone hit my dad with this hatchet. Like, he has no head. It's not like if you came in and your dad wasn't moving, you'd be like, oh my god, is he okay? I'm gonna scream. But if you came in and he was clearly decapitated by a hatchet, you'd be like,
Holy shit.
someone decapitated my dad.
Hey, who killed my dad?
Yeah.
It's a Fall River accent, so
I
yeah,
think,
exactly.
I think
It'd be like, hey guy, somebody killed my dad.
he killed my fucking
Yo,
dad.
guy who killed my fucking dad, kid. I think it's fine to yell the pertinent details of the case. I think that's great. I think, honestly, awesome job.
Maggie, come quick. My dad is dead. Someone killed him. Not me, but someone else came in and killed him. Andrew was slumped on a couch in the downstairs sitting room, struck 10 or 11 times with a hatchet-like weapon.
See, that is
The killer was
significantly
tired.
less.
Yeah, so needless to say, the rhyme is historically inaccurate.
And the killer's half repping on their second set.
This is also not...
Are you kidding me?
Well, they're like Jimmy said, they're tired. They're tired from the first one.
Somebody, let me give him my card.
Yeah.
I didn't include this either, but apparently that little nursery rhyme was come up with by the Fall River Herald.
Oh, that's fun.
That's not surprising.
so not at all.
The maid saw Lizzie Borden doing tricep kickbacks to increase her ability to return her arm to its neutral position after a swing.
A news outlet came up with a clickbait title.
Oh wow!
Yeah, wow.
Is that the first instance of clickbait we've ever seen?
I can't imagine it is.
Yeah, definitely not.
Innocent man slayed, evil broad does it. Here's a little rhyme about it.
Lizzie Borden was the only suspect.
Wait, didn't they had the maid was in the house?
There's fucking 20 other people in this fucking...
Didn't Lizzie have a sister too that also didn't like?
She was not there at the time. She was visiting in Seekonk, Massachusetts.
She was 20 minutes away.
No, Fairhaven. Fairhaven.
She was 15
That's even
minutes away.
closer. That's closer
The
than
police
Seacock.
The police heard there's someone in the house who's gone very close by. There's a maid. There's Lizzie. There's another person that Lizzie mentioned coming a messenger,
A courier,
and they're
yeah.
not going to check in any. They're like, it's probably the
No,
fucking
it's gotta be
lady.
her, yeah.
Now, to be fair, Lizzie was a little bit under the weather at the time. So they didn't want to investigate too hard. She wasn't
But she was the
feeling
only
well.
suspect.
She wasn't feeling
What
well.
do you mean?
It's so
So,
This is insane.
so I'm just going to give a quick little summary on the evidence against Lizzie, and then a little bit of the trial, and then why she was acquitted.
easiest job of all time, copping 1890.
Spoiler, spoiler. She
yes.
was, like you said, she was acquitted. So
Easiest job of all
You walk
time.
in and Lizzie Borden is ripping the guy's head off, and you're like, wow, she must have tried to put it back on and got confused. My job here is done. You flip your little dumbass notebook and leave. Like,
You go to trial and you show the evidence, and they're like, not guilty.
the maid is
Beyond reasonable doubt, not guilty.
the maid is covered in blood. She was like, Lizzie was acting fucking weird. And you're like, it must have been her. This woman seems honorable.
I took off his boots.
She's been clearly...
He had massive blisters.
She's clearly been trying to help these young people out of their death situation.
He was a carpenter. He slipped with the axe in his
Also,
hand.
he does not look like he was taking a nap on the couch either.
A little
he
slump
was,
action.
he was
He
trying.
might have reacted after getting hit the first time.
Yeah, I think he probably sat up
Woke up
with
the first time,
He
yeah.
sat up with a jolt after the first hit.
Oh, do you think like first hit, he sits up, second hit, perfect decapitation. Thwunk. You know, that'd be sick.
I don't think. Does it
That-
say anywhere in the story that they were decapitated?
They were
I don't
n-
think they were decapitated.
They
shit
were
was
not.
stuck on.
However,
His face was just bashed in.
however,
sucks.
their heads were removed for the autopsy.
Did she?
Why are we doing an autopsy?
I wonder what killed them. They have no fucking head. And then you cut off more of the head and you're like, this didn't help.
We didn't learn
Also,
anything.
was Lizzie Borden using the wrong fucking side of the hatchet? What the fuck was she doing? Hit him with the sharp part.
Maybe she was switching it up.
It's fucking
One sharp,
1890.
one sharp.
The other
little
side's like a hammer.
backhand, just little alternation.
It was dull after the first
that's
17
she
whacks.
that's why she got so tired. She was trying to hit it sideways. That would exhaust you.
She couldn't figure out what side to use, the handle or the.
Lizzie Borden put the hatchet in the dishwasher and fucking rolled it.
You see-
These are my good paper cutting scissors.
So here's a quick little rundown of the evidence against Lizzie.
Sorry, the maid sees her cutting. She's like, "You're gonna hurt yourself. It's dangerous to cut with a dull hatchet." She's just whacking her fucking mom in the head.
Stepmom.
Falling hatchet has no handle.
It's a great point.
Lizzie gave inconsistent statements about her whereabouts during the time of the murders. She burned a dress a few days after the murders, claiming it had paint on it. A hatchet head was found in the basement that appeared to be recently cleaned, and it was missing its handle. She was home during both murders, and only she and the maid were in the house.
Did the police investigate on the day of the murders, or did they just
right, right.
cut off the heads of two bodies
They were like,
for some reason?
4 days later, her clothes were burned. And he's like, well,
the
why
police-
didn't you take that the first time?
Yeah, exactly.
There's
You
two
should have
cops.
found that the first day.
There's two cops sitting there with one of those big old school saws, cutting the heads off the bodies, while Lizzie's just like ripping up fucking carpets and clearly disposing of evidence behind them. And they're like, "Geez, these bones are tough to cut through, Jim."
Some other things. There were no signs of forced entry, suggesting the killer was someone inside already.
Or just
Well,
like
the
it's in
door-
the 18. Like
They
they're
had a
not locking
maid.
that
Yeah, they had a
door.
fucking
Yeah,
maid who was walking
The
around
door
with no-
handle, the door lock was broken.
yeah,
Remember, his key
Yeah,
didn't
you're
work.
right.
That's true. That's true.
So that's a sign of forced entry. So we got to break the lock to get in.
a fucking podcaster 200 years almost after this fucking crime went down is doing a better job of just guessing the shit they should have paid attention to. He's like, weird, this door doesn't work. That must mean it's really good. He just leaves.
High security system.
Yeah.
Witnesses had described Lizzie's behavior after the murders as unusually calm and unemotional,
Which is exactly what we said about her reaction.
Also, yeah, no one who grieves ever gets calm. Everyone does exactly the same thing when their parents get beheaded in fucking 20 feet from them.
she claimed to not have heard anything during the murder of her stepmother, despite being nearby.
Yeah, so did the maid, right? The
Yeah.
maid just heard her
Yeah,
laughing.
they're both
so they're
just
both
ignored
fucking
it,
liars. I think they
They did it together.
Tag
for sure.
team theory,
Yeah, no, that's what I was
yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah.
They 100% did it together. Lizzie didn't like the whatever. Like Lizzie would have
explains-
gotten money, right?
That
like,
explains why the maid lied.
Yeah,
She was like,
maybe the
"Oh
maid
yeah,
thought
I
she'd
heard
get a
Lizzie
little cut."
laughing. That's crazy. Why don't you go check it out?" And he was like, "What? I better go look on this
Oh,
couch."
yeah.
Oh, so they did it together,
Yeah,
and
they
then the
both
maid
had a
turned
hatchet
on her.
Bam, 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 double up.
I still also feel like the maid is involved, but here
The maid was like, "I'll tell these dumb fuck cops a story, and they'll just get so confused they'll let you go. They're so stupid."
It worked.
Yeah.
so here are some key points from the trial. The prosecution tried to present the hatchet head, saying that it was like very freshly cleaned and there was no handle. So that would indicate, like, you know, of course you would remove the handle because you can't clean blood out of wood.
Yeah.
Didn't really work well with the court.
Any reason in particular?
They were just like, I mean,
They're like, it's a hatchet.
I
head.
actually, the jurors might be the funniest part of this, where they were just like, that's
the
sucks.
They might be dumber than the cops.
But, but in a way where they're just like, that's fucking stupid. Who cares?
Literally everyone in 1890 owned a hatchet. I'm guaranteeing.
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Did, yeah.
So they did use Lizzie's contradictory statements to like try to poke holes in her defense. They said they talked about the burned dress. The defense argued that Lizzie had been taking morphine for stress, which could explain her behavior.
Honestly, yeah.
Sure.
Good argument.
There was Coke and Coca-Cola. Go for it. Morphine's
Good
on
But
it.
also, like, I probably wouldn't hear my dumb dad getting murdered if I was rocked on fucking morphine.
Yeah. They also said that she was a moral, religious, and well-behaved woman.
Sure.
Well, she was pretty rude to her stepmom 20 years ago.
Yeah. But the
Stepmom who was not much older than her.
the prosecution had no eyewitness, no directly tied murder weapon, and no clear motive.
Yeah. It was the single worst investigation and prosecution of all time.
100% that goes down to the investigation. If they had done a tiny bit of investigation, they probably would have figured this out.
Honestly, they could have just been like, she's obviously a wicked woman. And they would have been like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, for sure.
The jury also held some gender-based assumptions, assuming that a woman couldn't commit such violence.
That rocks. Oh my God.
And they actually only deliberated for 90 minutes and then came back and they were like,
This
like,
rocks, dude.
That's insane.
she's not guilty.
Well, I mean, that's, you only need one person.
Yeah.
To be
Also,
like, there's no way this could have happened.
also, Lizzie Borden was basically just like, I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
I'm just a little girl. I'm just a girl. I'm a small bean. I can't do that. And it worked. And that's awesome.
Yeah. My favorite part is actually the prosecution tried to like expose Lizzie for being narcissistic and like lacking emotion and everything. So they brought in 2 boxes.
This is so fun.
And opened them up. And it was the skulls of Andrew and Abby Borden.
my God.
And what did they prove with this? What was their attempt to prove? That she's narcissistic?
that she doesn't care. That she just like, you know.
Okay. And they said, here's a skull. And she said,
they're like,
Here's a
here's
skull that we chopped off your
Wild move.
parents for the.
and then she said, man, that really sucks.
well, they were expecting her basically to be like kind of aloof and indifferent about it.
Yeah, she probably broke out in tears if I had to guess.
Yeah,
Why would you show that to a small child?
Well,
She's
she was
30.
30.
It's true. I keep picturing she's. Yeah, I know.
Everyone in the story is like 14 and 90 at the same time in my life.
It's insane.
She screamed and stood up and fainted.
Yeah.
That fucking.
Well, you just showed her 2 human skulls.
So
Also, her parents' skulls.
I'm also realizing I had so many
Hilarious.
misconceptions about the story.
This is so funny.
I always thought she was like a teen.
Yeah, like my brain is so
She's
effed up right
she
now.
was 30, man. I assume what's her name? Her mother was like probably like 50 by that point, and what's his name was 70. Is my guess.
around those ages, yeah.
But also, it's very funny to like bring out the boxes and be like, "Well, prove what kind of woman she is." You just unveil 2 skulls, and everyone in the jury's probably like, "What the fuck? Are those the skulls of the victims? You fucking idiot!
Why would you
and then
take
she,
that?
And then she obviously faints, and they're like, "What a fucking asshole!"
I just like the idea of the defense going, objection. Those are the parents' skulls.
I also like best case scenario. They open the skulls and she's like, boring. Who fucking cares? Like, what is she like? Even if she was like, okay, that's my parents'
You have to
skulls.
be a decent actor to not
Well, but like
fall for that trick.
that doesn't mean you. That doesn't mean you did the crime. Like, if you're not scared, like. You might be like, oh, it doesn't really look my parents anymore. It's a skull, and like my brain is not figuring out this.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of alarming. My brain doesn't connect it to them because they're dead now, and they would be like, oh, geez. Like,
Some final little fun facts here. Lizzie and her sister Emma ended up inheriting Andrew's house, but this is a different house. This is one of the other. He owned multiple houses.
landlord. Yeah,
They moved. They moved.
Was this the one in Swansea? They owned one in Swansea.
It's called Maplecroft. I don't know if that's the one in
They
Swansea.
owned one in
Is
Swansea.
the one in Swansea called
They owned-
Maplecroft?
I don't believe so. I think they own one down in Tuaset.
Oh, spooky.
Yeah.
So they lived together for years. But
Hawk to is it? Is that something?
oh no. Emma suddenly moved out
Took me a second.
Sorry.
Me and Jimmy just got it at the same
It took me
time.
way longer than I didn't realize that I should have.
I think it like had to work through the outer levels of your brain to keep you safe from harm and trauma.
So they were living together for a while, but then Emma suddenly moved out, and on this Lizzie Borden Society forum, there's some speculation as to why.
Geniuses in the forum.
I think
coming to work here.
I think this is a very fun post to me. It's one of 3 reasons. 1, she caught Lizzie drinking.
It's one of 93
It's one of
reasons I
anything,
developed.
yeah.
Well,
What is the username of this post?
Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
okay.
This is my
Reputable
older
source.
This is my older sister. She was playing one of the Nancy Drew computer games from 2003, and she was like, "I got this
Well,
case
so
solved."
here are the 3 reasons.
Yeah.
1, she caught Lizzie drinking and smoking after getting in with a local theater group. 2,
What?
she called Lizzie being as cool as ever.
2, she found out Lizzie was sleeping with Nance O'Neill from the theater group.
Whoa, spicy.
Are we supposed to know who that is?
No,
Okay.
no idea.
Is that a real guy? Has anyone verified this is a
Or
real
is
person?
it a
Or is it a
woman?
Oh,
I was thinking Nance.
Nance.
Like
I was going to
Nancy.
joke that the sisters were lesbians, but I thought it was a little off color. But now I want to go back and pretend I joked about them being lesbians, and now she's mad because of a lesbian kind of throuple situation.
Or 3, she found out Lizzie killed Andrew and Abby.
It could be 2 things that are relevant to what was happening at the time, or a third thing I made up. A third thing I just thought of now.
They played two truths,
Truths
one
and a
lie.
lie. That is 2 Truths and a Lie by Nancy Drew.
I also like because like one of those probably has like supporting evidence. Like, oh yeah, like she writes in her journal about like Lizzie smoking and drinking, and Lizzie was in this theater club, and the theater club was known to be raucous. And the other one is just like, I thought of this thing. That's pretty good. Like, but I like the idea that like she finds out that Lizzie killed her parents, and she's like, I gotta go. I'm not gonna tell the dumb shit police force
Yeah, I'm
who
not
can't solve
telling
a crime.
anyone, but I'm never
just gonna
talking to her
leave.
again.
Yeah.
That is
I'm
the
gonna
kicker
go
though.
find a place to live on my own.
They never spoke again
what,
after that.
39,
Wild
40,
move.
Well, she doesn't-
40 years old in 1900.
She doesn't want to ruin Lizzie's chances in The King and I or whatever fucking play she's doing, you know? My Fair Lady, you know?
So that is the history of
Yeah,
Lizzie Borden.
That's great.
What about the ghosts? Many times, an older woman is seen wandering the house. Some guests think it's a maid or the host of the B&B.
Oh, I should specify that.
It's currently a B&B. The house is currently a B&B.
I have to.
No, I know,
I have
but,
to specify the house is a bed and
They're like-
breakfast.
They're
now.
like, okay, there's a ghost in the house where a woman was murdered. It's some other lady or the maid. Like, what about the lady who got killed?
Well, no,
Yeah,
they're,
right.
they're
Probably
saying,
her.
Yeah, could've
they're
been her.
saying instead of thinking it's a ghost, they think it's
yeah,
the
they think
maid
it's the
or
host
the
or
owner of
whatever.
the B&B.
Yeah.
And then instead of being like, oh, that obviously makes sense, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. They were like, I should tell everyone I
They're
know.
like, maybe
Well.
it is a ghost.
well,
Getting up to greet the woman, they find themselves alone.
so
Getting
that
up to greet the
well,
woman.
so they see her and then
that's
they
worded
stand
really
up
poorly.
because it's polite to stand up and address a lady.
Is this like at in the middle of the night? Or like during the
You know,
day?
many times. It could be any time.
It changes a lot. If it's noon, it's like, oh, I think you might be stupid. But if it's like 3:15 a.m., it's like, why are you greeting her? I think you might be stupid.
exactly. At that point, you're like, yeah.
It's Abby. Going
Asked and answered. Sorry.
going about her chores just before walking into the guest room to meet up with her stepdaughter and a hatchet. Abby's mostly seen in the second floor hallway and guest room.
Yeah, but when? Like, when is this happening?
Whenever, man. when do you want to see a ghost?
I like that Jimmy was like, I believe in ghosts deeply. And I was like, this seems far-fetched. He was like, this is the stupidest story I've ever heard. Ghosts aren't real, and why is this woman walking around?
So, no, well,
This rocks, dude.
my perspective on the story was completely different before coming to this. Now that I'm hearing the story and the way that's told, like, I was convinced that, like, all right, Lizzie definitely did this. She was, like, possessed or something and just
Now-
murdered her parents.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my entire life.
Now you're like, oh, Lindsay just wanted.
I'm like,
Lindsay
she's
just
just
wanted
a-
to be a lesbian.
she's just a
with her
regular
sister.
person.
She wanted to be a sister lesbian with her sister and her theater troupe.
Visitors sleeping in that room have felt the bed sheets tighten around them, then hear brushing
Spicy.
as if hands slide across the covers.
So, but they think it's the stepmom.
With a slight pressure against their chest and legs,
I don't care.
Abby
This is getting
meticulously
spicier.
Abby meticulously straightening the fabric,
Shut the fuck up.
calmly making the bed on what was thought a normal Thursday morning.
I'm gonna anticipate the bullshit you're gonna say. You're gonna say they were a really strict house. They have a maid. Was Abby making the bed? They had a maid. The maid makes the bed.
So actually, didn't include this. It was the chores of the girls to make the beds.
And so Abby would get mad.
But Abby did it for some reason that day.
And you think that, okay, so the ghost is like, I have to make the bed nice.
Yes.
But the ghost is not smart enough to go, there's a person in there sleeping. I don't make the bed while a person's
So-
sleeping.
Also, no, Abby is talking shit, making the bed like, this maid, Lizzie, you guys suck, you don't do your jobs, and they chopped her the fuck up.
So it's possible that maybe this ghost is stuck in a time loop and isn't conscious of the surroundings of the people in the bed. She's just like, in her own
Gotta make the
universe making the bed.
So-
And then there happens to be a person
For like
in there.
time loop stuff, if you move the bed to the other side of the room, can she still make the bed?
I
or
think
does she
she's
make
making the bed
area?
in her like realm. So like she would still make the
Right.
bed in that spot, but the bed would be like
That's what I'm
across the
saying.
room.
So you could just like duck over and be like, idiot, dumb bitch. You're making the air, you dumb bitch. Also, like, I like that they're like, this is crazy scary. She does a chore, kind of. I felt some pressure. It's like, yeah, she's making the bed, you asshole. Get out of the fucking bed.
That's fair. But what about Lizzie? She's there too.
Why? Didn't she move? Why isn't she haunting the Swansea, the Maple Story
Why
cabin?
isn't she
or
haunting
whatever?
the theater with Nance O'Neill?
Yeah, why isn't she haunting like some lesbian hangout session for the theater?
That's a great question. Maybe her energy is tied to this house where all the violence happened. Okay.
That makes sense.
Didn't die in the house. She
But
did the crime.
But if she did the crime,
It's like Voldemort, where like a piece of her, like she killed two people, and a piece of her was left in the house.
Is a Horcrux.
First of all, gotta read another book, man. You gotta read one other book in your life.
The house is a Horcrux.
You gotta read another book. But so you can become a ghost if you die horrifically, or if you kill someone,
I think it's
and
about.
it puts you in the.
I think it's about the dark energy that's
What if Lizzie Borden?
released.
Okay, ghost question for my believers out
Yeah.
there. What if Lizzie Borden killed her stepmother and father brutally, right?
Yeah.
Thereby chaining her to the house in a ghost energy way.
Yeah.
And then Lizzie Borden in her new Swansea house gets murdered brutally.
Ooh,
Are there two ghosts? Does she have to split time? Does one override the other?
these are great questions. First,
Send them to the professor of the book that guy
first,
wouldn't buy.
I will admit I don't know, but
I don't think you could.
I
man.
would
I think she becomes a force ghost.
I would think maybe she could just manifest in both if she wanted to.
What?
What? That's preposterous.
Either she could go back and forth.
Isn't the ghost the soul?
Yeah.
So you think you could just be two souls now?
Well, maybe not at the same time, but
Could you
like
become,
she could go to
3?
She could warp between.
Could you become
them.
3 souls? Could you do 2 violent murders and then die and become 3 souls?
That's a great question.
Could you do 50 violent murders and become 50 souls?
But see, the thing is, we also don't know what makes some people become ghosts and some people not.
Is that ghost teleportation though? Is that
Yes. Yeah.
Do we
has to
definitely?
be.
We definitely.
we also don't know if she
We don't
did the
know.
murder.
No, that's also
that's a great point.
I do like the idea of you're seeing Lizzie and she's like, I didn't fucking do anything. She's walking around, she's like, I didn't fucking do it.
The entire time she's
The
walking
fuck?
around the house, she's just trying
I
to
can't stop being a ghost until you stop fucking blaming me for this.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
The maid's a fucking psycho. She's walking around yelling that. Everyone's like, wow, she's crazy. This bitch is crazy.
One of the reasons why she didn't leave Fall River is because I think we talk about it a little bit later, but it's because she wanted, when she was finally like proven correct, she wanted all the people in Fall River to know
That is so
she didn't do it.
Also, you think the cops would be like, you should stay close. 'cause we don't trust you.
right,
But
exactly.
we've established they're awful.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we know that like a big trip for them was to Seacon, so it's not like they
There's
couldn't
no way she
find
could have
them.
gotten here. She would have had to wait 20 minutes on horseback.
Guests staying in the room beside hers wake at night. It's subtle but undeniable. The sound of a woman crying on the other side of the wall.
Who would that be?
Reported to the host.
No, they
many
said Lizzie
times.
wasn't. They said Lizzie was laughing and really calm and not
Right,
crying.
right,
They famously said that she was not crying, and that was
Yeah.
why she was guilty. So who the fuck is crying? The maid wasn't crying. The maid's a maid.
Maybe
The mother was dead right away. What did she? Who the fuck is crying?
I want to know who's
maybe Lizzie is sad because no one believes her.
Hey, great. Honestly, the best answer possible for the situation. The sister's crying. She's like, she's running off with Nance O'Neill.
The same crying around the same time of night. So
Didn't the murders happen during the day? At like breakfast time?
so people are hearing the same crying every
ghosts are at
night at
night,
the same
Killian.
time.
Ghosts use military time and they get off by leap years. Thank you.
One evening, a woman fell asleep in the main parlor after a long day. She woke up confused at 3 a.m. looked around the dimly lit room, realizing she was still in the house. Through the parlor door, she saw the grand staircase, and then movement. Pressed against the wall was an odd shadow stretched all the way up the stairs. It didn't match the other shadows or items blocking the lamplight.
So it was headlights.
It was pressed against the wall and also went up the stairs.
It was moving, swaying at first before rolling up the stairs.
Rolling? Sonic the Hedgehog was here? Metroid? Samus from Metroid was
Shadow roll.
A
How
fig-
does that look like?
It dropped little bombs and bounced in the air really high on them.
A figure, like a person, slowly moving up each step, disappearing at the top. She thinks it was Lizzie, residual energy remaining from violent tragedy, as the young murderess slowly climbed the stairs to meet her stepmother one final time. So I guess she thinks Lizzie's also stuck in a time loop, assuming Lizzie did commit the murders.
Again, like, I sort of get it. This is a ghost principle thing that we cannot answer on this show, unfortunately, because I'm dealing with someone who made something up one day. But like, all I'm asking is that one of these ghost people comes with a little more heat.
Guys, I don't think I believe in ghosts anymore.
You've got to have a ghost experience and stop right before the ghost kills somebody. Because if the ghost like really hurts somebody, it's fake as shit. But like, if you get me right there, but like, why does the ghost roll up like a ball on the stairs? What does that mean? Even
well, our final story of the night might give you a little sprinkle of what you're looking for, Killian. This is from the website Novel Suspects, and they have a little excerpt from Life with the Afterlife by Amy Bruni, and she has an experience at the Lizzie Borden house. So this one is going to wrap up the episode for us because it's a little on the longer side. Because I live in the area, I go to investigate that house often. Over the last 10 years or so, I've been there to investigate probably a dozen times, both with small groups and to film TV episodes.
is this what Amy sounds like? It's me, Amy. When I haunted the house, I was a ghost.
I could try doing that voice higher.
I wouldn't try.
Because
Please do a girl voice for the show.
Because I live in the area.
Okay, go back to me.
No.
Over the years, I've witnessed a lot of paranormal activity in the home where the murders took place. It's a great spot to bring people who are just learning to investigate because something almost always happens there. The more I investigate the Borden house, the more I realize even though there's strong activity, none of the activity is interacting with me. My guess is what's occurring in the house is a highly residual haunt where there is a lot of energy in the space.
That felt like a fucking term.
Residual haunt?
Like
Residual
I feel like-
hauntings are like
No, but I feel like all of
term in the
Amy's
paranormal
fans are like, oh, it's a residual. It's not a reciprocal haunting. Oh, okay, thank you. That's good to know. It's highly residual. Good. I've had low residual hauntings, and I find them unimpressive, sir.
Buzzword in the ghost
no,
world.
exactly.
And you're going to have to familiarize yourself with the ghost
I think
vocabulary.
this is a reprobate ghost haunting, and it's conjugal in nature.
A residual haunt where there is a lot of energy in the space, but that it's not necessarily from active ghosts.
I didn't know she was going to explain the term right after. I'm so sorry. I didn't know she was going to go right into the explanation of the term.
I think the supernatural energy is increased by people coming into the house, knowing about the murders and the legends about Lizzie, and they bring their own speculations and hopes to see something spooky.
And you
so
think
people
that...
are working themselves up.
So they banked it.
I like that she was like, so people are deluding themselves into thinking it's haunted. That's what makes it actually haunted.
Yes.
Like, they do that so much.
amplifies the haunt.
Well, she's saying like they do that so much it creates a bunch of fucking ghost energy.
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
really really funny.
That's wild.
It's a self-eating.
Yeah,
It's a
vibes.
self.
yeah.
The ghosts gain power from everyone believing in them. They're like Santa Claus. Lizzie lived in that home for more than 30 years until her death in 1927.
She moved to Swansea.
She definitely moved.
Wow. All right. Well, hey, we'll give Amy.
I don't know if she moved to Swansea, but she definitely moved out of that house.
Sorry.
Right?
Oh, you know what? I think
made the
this. I
Swansea
think
part up.
I think this story is in Maplecroft.
This is the other house.
Because she just said, when we arrived to film an episode there, Maplecroft had never been investigated by ghost hunters.
It's a zag. She's like, people
Yeah.
think it's the other house. That other house's energy makes this house haunted.
We were the first people to investigate the space in over 90 years. The woman who owns the Lizzie Borden house purchased Maplecroft and was preparing to open the building to the public. The previous owners
Tough
had
sell, lady. Come to this
Right.
house where nothing happened, and a woman lived peacefully after her dumb parents died.
The previous owners had told her it wasn't haunted. But once she and her employees spent time there,
What? Pause.
Once her vested business interest
No,
came in the building.
Yeah. You don't have to legally disclose hauntings.
No, for sure you don't.
Oh yeah, but like if
I thought you did.
no. But also like if someone's like, oh, I want to buy this. I'm the lady who owns I own the Lizzie Borden house, and you're like, oh yeah, sorry, this one's like not haunted. It's just a regular house. And then she's like, actually,
Are you sure?
I think it's very haunted, and I think people would pay $9.95 to see this haunting on a walking tour.
well,
Also, I need a second location to bring them to the house because the bar down the street closed.
once she and her employees started spending time there, they started witnessing a lot of activity. They would hear loud footsteps.
The fact that it's her and the employees is
I was
what's
just
getting me here.
employees is a
It's so
tough sell.
sketchy, yeah.
It's her and the people she can fire at any moment.
It's her and her weird cousin that she hired.
But Jimmy, they would hear loud footsteps.
Her and people who have to agree with her or they won't have a job or a house anymore.
The disembodied voice of a woman and laughter at strange times.
Can I interrupt really quickly? Because I know we're wrapping the episode up at some point. None of these stories have included the knocking sound of the head being hit with an axe. If I'm writing a fucking spooky Lizzie Borden ghost story, I'm sleeping in the bed and I wake up and I thought I hear a sound. I say, what the fuck? And then I hear like, doom, doom. And I hear 17.
right.
I hear 17
I'm getting
fucking
goosebumps.
things. And then I say, it must have been my imagination, right? And I go upstairs and I check and nothing's happening. And then I go upstairs, downstairs I hear doom, 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 18 or whatever, however 10, 11, whatever the fuck. And I'm like, what the fuck?
4,000
And I run
at this
there
point.
and I run there and I see nothing and I turn, I see a shadow on the wall and then I see the head roll across the floor. But just in shadow,
But
just
that
a
was the
shadow.
cops that cut it off.
And I see a cop doing the double seesaw. I hear, oh, say, nothing's happening here. Just a woman with a lot of bloody clothes over.
That is very chilling, Killian, and I think perhaps that's why you've confirmed that these are real occurrences.
'Cause that's too cool?
It's way too on the nose.
Okay.
It's
right.
perfect. That's the perfect scary story.
It's sick. Yeah. No, instead the ghost says bless you when you sneeze because she's the maid and her job was
Instead,
the tissue finding.
The ghost kind of just wiggles up the stairs.
The ghost rolls up the stairs, which I don't even think is like possible physically to do. I've never seen a single person roll
Have you
upstairs.
tried?
Yeah, as a child for sure. I never went up the stairs rolling.
I'm gonna turn into a ghost trying to roll up the stairs.
I'm gonna slip a disc.
If I'm haunting anywhere, that's how I'm doing it. I'm just gonna
God.
roll up the stairs all day.
Before we started investigating, we brought Chip Coffee. That's a real person.
Yeah,
He's a psychic / medium.
sure.
we brought Dink Dunkalo.
That's horrible marketing.
Okay.
Chip Coffee?
Yeah, there's no way that's his name. That's just like
Yeah.
buzz.
In order to get his impressions of the home. So he wouldn't see anything or get any clues that might influence his reading, we brought him in blindfolded.
Chip Coffee can't learn about this famous thing. He would have no clue about that.
No.
Chip Coffee is too stupid to type in shit into a book.
This is the first time anyone had investigated Maplecroft.
Yeah, but people,
in 90 years.
people know what it is. He can be like, "Where am I going? Maplecroft. Oh, it's Lizzie Borden's other house. Okay, I'll do some axe shit while I'm there."
Yeah.
That's fair.
And also, my name is Chip Coffee for some reason. His name is like Charles Covington, and he was like, "Chip Coffee.
Chip Coffee.
I can see ghosts if I
Also,
have
if
a
I-
blindfold on."
If I drink some espresso, I can see ghosts.
Yeah, I was confused when you said they brought Chip Coffee, and
it
I was like,
sounds like
"Who's
a-
Chip?"
yeah,
We didn't establish a Chip
like
character.
a
Why is he
store.
low on energy?
Yeah. I love the idea of him like hawking his shitty coffee brand while he's there. I'm getting a reading. I need to use my custom Chip Coffee ground beans from Colombia.
All right, so here's a quote from him.
Medium roast.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good.
Oh, that is really good.
Really good.
Fantastic marketing.
Almost as good as the Hawk to Wisset. It's 1-2.
All of a sudden, I'm very agitated and upset. There's a sense of being out of control. I'm being hit by every kind of emotion. I'm trying to get a grip on my emotions and I just can't. I hear, stop, leave me alone.
I need specifics, Chip. Okay, you're in a house.
Right.
They brought a psychic to the house, and you're like, it's stressful. Yeah, man, you're
They
blindfolded. You're
blindfolded
scared.
him. Also, they brought him not to the house where the murders happened.
right. Why
they
didn't
brought
they
him
bring
to
him
the
to the-
other
why
house?
didn't they bring him
I'm
to the
really
actual house?
stressed. I feel like 2 lesbians lived here, and we're mad about Neil O'Nance.
2 lesbian sisters lived here.
Neil O'Nance. I'm getting the name Neil O'Nance over and over again.
Neil O'Nance.
God.
He did say, stop, leave me alone.
How did Neil O'Nance die?
Nance O'Neill? Is that what
Nance
I
O'Neill.
O'Neill, yeah.
Hatcheted to death. left in some some hole in salty.
He was picking up the spirit of a woman who was getting increasingly angry.
You think you know everything. You know nothing about me.
She's screaming, don't help me.
Chip added, then repeated more of her words. As part of our research, we spoke with historian Christopher Daly.
That was all Chip did?
There's more.
He went in the house and was like, whoa, it's crazy in here. She says, don't make me give more information. She says, I know too much, but I can't say it.
We'll come back to Chip. As part of our research, we spoke with historian Christopher Daly about Lizzie. He told us after the trial, Lizzie adopted a new name, Lizbeth. That's what's on her gravestone.
At 33 years old, she decided to stop going by Lizzie. And
She
started to go by-
rebranded.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
rebranded.
exactly.
It's like when Kobe.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
don't go by Jimmy anymore. Like,
Well, it'd be like if you were like, I'm Jimber now. Jimber, what the
Well,
fuck?
it's like when Kobe went from number 8 to number 24 after his trial.
exactly the same situation.
It's like when Ron Artest became Meta World Peace.
Cut to an old historian being like, it's a lot like when Kobe went from number 8 to number 20.
It actually, it says right here, that's what on her gravestone. It's like when Kobe. The night before, we had gotten an EVP response of the name Lizzie Borden. We really thought we might have been talking to her, but besides that one answer, she hadn't said much of anything. From what Chip indicated, she did not care to speak more. Adam suggested approaching that night's investigation in a different way by removing all the things in the home that discuss murder in any way.
We need to make her comfortable if we're gonna get any answers.
No one had investigated this house, and there's just hundreds of murder references in it.
Well,
Right.
no, like they're talking about, they're like trying to like get murder.
Okay, so they're like, we should stop bringing up the murders.
Yeah, we should stop talking about the one thing that's probably the
most
biggest
traumatic
trauma.
event in your life.
The
only thing that made it
also,
relevant.
the thing that they said emotionally ties the ghost to the house.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous. The ghosts are such drama queens.
they are. That's why they're ghosts.
murder-
Maybe that's the factor. Your drama level. So that evening, we set about making Maplecroft an axe murder-free zone.
You should have done that anyway, you fucking dickhead.
Oh, actually, I do think because the owner,
They
the
spruced
bought
it up to make it murder.
Yeah.
But like, they didn't investigate first.
no,
This is clear. Also, they are like, we gotta figure something out in this house because nothing's happening.
so we gotta bring in some paranormal investigators.
We gotta do an
we
investigation.
gotta make it spooky.
Yeah.
We made sure to speak to her using the name she chose to go by as a sign of respect, and we reassured her that we only had good intentions and didn't want to exploit or sensationalize her past. Kind of true.
It'd be
not
sick
really.
if we emailed Christopher Daly and he was like, "Oh yeah, I lied to them. Her name was Lizzie the whole time." I just thought it was funny that they were calling her Lizbeth for like 2 weeks, like idiots.
That would be kind of funny. Then we set up a spirit box experiment designed to make Lizbeth feel as comfortable as possible.
Everyone here knows about the spirit box, right? Since this is an early episode,
So for those who don't know what a spirit box is, it's basically like a radio that like scans through all the different frequencies of like unused radio channels.
and the idea is that the ghost can use those frequencies to communicate. And the
Yeah.
reality is that it plays little snippets of the radio,
Yes.
and then someone goes like,
Run.
and it says, "Oh, she's telling us to get out," and that's what you do.
But the idea also is that they can affect like the radio channels and change to
Yeah.
the channel
Yeah.
to make that.
Even though there's no way to do that on the machine, the ghost can do that.
The ghost can do that
Energy-wise.
energy-wise.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can tune into the
Ghost-
frequency.
Ghosts can control the radio, guys.
Yeah.
I
Oh, we
talked
did
about
learn,
it
we
last
learned
week.
that last
It's
week.
happened.
The Route 40, the Route 44 ghost could do that as well.
Jimmy, we're gonna have to bring you on another time.
I will say it's
Yes.
consistent with the lore established in the Route 44 ghost that you can definitely affect the radio in some way.
Yeah. So that energy. I went upstairs to a sitting room while Adam stayed downstairs and asked questions through a walkie-talkie.
My friend Amy is upstairs. I'd love for you to reach out to her, please. Can you tell her your name? Elizabeth. You're going to have a lot of people coming in here to try to talk to you, and most of those people are going to try to talk about directly. Yes, they're going to talk to you directly. I'm lost. The people that own this house now also own the house. Don't say anything. It's not me.
That's a long.
That's a long
sentence.
phrase for a spirit box. And I hope everyone at home knows that. Spirit boxes, you get little quick snippets. That's a long phrase for a spirit box. Chris Coffey and Steely Dan and whoever. Amy,
Adam and Amy.
Amy spooks a lot or whatever. Like you better watch yourself.
People are going to ask you about what happened on 2nd Street. We're trying to warn you and let you know to see if that's okay with you.
Was it called 2nd Street back then?
2nd Street is where the other house is.
Well, I was saying they double checked with Chris.
Oh, that's true.
They
That's
asked
true.
Christopher if it was...
What if she doesn't know what 2nd Street
Well,
is?
back then, also, obviously, of course, that was 3rd Street back then because the old farming path was 2nd Street.
And you're like, oh shit, we've been calling it the wrong street. Now we gotta go back and do another spirit box session.
Please talk to them. Are you there? So you're saying it's okay for people to come talk to you about your past?
That's not what she said.
Come back. What would you like to talk about?
I felt someone walking through the room,
He's a bad
but no one
conversation
was
partner.
there.
Yeah,
He's not really paying attention to his box.
He's like kind of having his own conversation, and she's
I was
having
gonna say, 'cause
hers.
she's walking. So Amy has the spirit box downstairs.
So he has the spirit box
Amy's
downstairs.
upstairs.
Amy is upstairs. My guess is that they're keeping Amy up in the dark, and like, so
Yeah.
if something happens, it's separate from what's going on downstairs
Right.
to like be like, okay, she went upstairs.
Okay.
I don't really know.
Because he did say, like, can you go?
Yeah, go talk to Amy,
talk to her.
basically. I went upstairs to a sitting room while Adam stayed downstairs and asked questions through a walkie-talkie.
So the spirit box
So
is
the
with
spirit
Adam,
box
or it's
is
up in
with-
the sitting room.
I think the spirit box is up in the sitting room
Okay,
with
and
Amy,
he's like,
and he's
what's
asking
going
the
on?
questions.
What's going on up there? And she's like, don't go back and listen to me. I know people should be. That's crazy. Over.
I guess it is still very convoluted.
Yeah,
it's
I feel
not
like-
extremely clear.
I feel like she could just ask the question because it sounds like frankly he's barely listening to her.
Yeah, he's not paying
Elizabeth is
attention
saying.
whatsoever.
She's like, don't come back, and he's like, I should bring people to talk to you.
Everybody's coming.
Well, I guess maybe that would make sense because he's just asking questions.
Yeah, he can't really hear the
and
responses.
He can't really hear the
clearly.
responses
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah.
That's what I was
yeah.
asking. Like, is he not able to hear that? Like, he's just supposed to ask them, and then the spirit box is supposed to respond, but he can't like play
Maybe.
off it.
Yeah.
I felt someone walking through the room, but no one was there.
Do you miss someone, Lisbeth, from your past? You get used to it. I'm upset. What are you upset about?
Okay, so he can hear the responses.
These are very clear sentences. Also for a
super
spirit box.
clear,
Like
yeah.
spirit box, you get like a word or two. From what I've seen on YouTube videos of guys doing it.
What are you upset about?
Stop it. Alone. I tried.
We had just had a full conversation with the ghost of Lizzie Borden, maybe for the first time
When my
ever.
wife tells me to do this and I ignore her, I just had a full conversation with my wife.
Through a walkie-talkie.
I was hearing full sentences, which almost never happens with ghost replies in EVP sessions or spirit box experiments.
Yeah.
It was hard to hear, though. She seemed so conflicted and lonely. I think the only reason that Lisbeth chose to speak to us is that we broke the ice with her and treated her with kindness, even though we were looking for one of the most sought-after spirits of all time, who may or may not be a murderer. We don't.
I love the implication that like all you assholes were being too mean to Elizabeth when you came to sleep in a bed.
Well, you know, ghosts do appreciate some respect. You know, they will haunt you if you don't respect them.
I get
Well, that's their goal.
To haunt you.
Haunt,
No,
yeah.
these people want
They want to
that
get haunted.
interaction.
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you would
yeah.
expect them to just all be dicks.
Yeah.
That's you'd think that you. That's why.
Right?
That's why I
Yeah.
was asking like if you don't believe in ghosts because I feel like ghosts like I feel like you want to incense them. You want to get them all pissed off and because you're trying to stir up
But
emotions.
also you
These are
could-
emotions that got
You could
sealed
be
away
like
in a.
pushing them away with your actions.
I push away people in my life all the time. I didn't know it worked on ghosts too. Look, it's all that's all fine what you're saying. I just don't get. I don't get like why they're the first person to be nice. They're
Yeah.
genuinely suggesting they're the first people to be nice to a ghost.
At least this one.
I feel like you're telling me some Fall River grandma, some old Portuguese grandma was like, "Fuck you, Elizabeth Borden." She wasn't like,
Maybe she found out that she was fucking Nance O'Neill.
she wasn't like Lizzie. where are
Smoking
you?"
and drinking.
Smoking and drinking.
Ah, dude.
We don't know for sure. I do know that she has a lot of people calling out for her, and I haven't heard of another time when she answered. So even though one of the producers was really pushing for us to ask her if she was guilty, we wouldn't do it.
He was like, "Can you please get something usable for this?"
We would have violated the trust we'd built with her.
I respect the morals of this
I think,
ghost.
I think they were
investigator.
asked. They should have asked about Nance O'Neill instead, right? You get that comfortable spot. You start asking about your
Hey,
love
tell me
life.
about Nance.
I would never fuck. Nuts. Gross.
Adam and I never asked her if she did it. If we did, we would have been lying to her the whole time when we promised not to talk about the murders.
We're not gonna bring up the 2 murders you did.
The Lizzie Borden case may be one of the most notorious American true crime stories, but we'll never have any answers. And that's because Lisbeth wanted it that way.
No, it's because Elizabeth wanted it that way.
care? She's dead. She give a fucking kid arrest her.
It's about her reputation, her
can't
ghost
arrest her.
reputation. It's about the respect.
Can you annoy someone into becoming a ghost? Do you think Lizzie was like, I didn't fucking kill anyone. My name is Lisbeth. Leave me the fuck alone. And she just got so pissed off she became a ghost.
Lisbeth is not even the same person as Lizzie.
I don't know who the fuck that is. I'm fucking annoyed at you.
That's my cousin.
No, I didn't kill my fucking parents or whatever. Who cares? I'm a fucking actor. I'm trying to fucking be in a play.
That's her stage name.
Yeah.
Lizzie Borden was already taken by
She's
taken in
like,
SAG.
my name is Elizabeth Bordansky. My family is from Poland. Leave me alone.
So that is where we are going to conclude the Lizzie Borden saga.
Not a lot of zhoosh in the ghost hauntings.
Not a lot of ghost hauntings.
Really, kind of like not even particularly scary.
I was
frankly.
really trying to find most of the stuff that I found was people having weird, vivid, bad dreams in the house.
Yeah, which like it's an old house with mold in the walls, and you are scared,
and
you're having
also,
scary sleep.
Also, I didn't touch on this at all, but there were like, I guess I touched on it in the intro. There were child ghosts.
Yeah, you said that.
A
and
bouncing ball sound and children laughing.
That's like there was never a kid.
There
in the fucking house.
there have been a lot of reports of people hearing that, and there were 2 kids that were killed across the street.
Oh, no way. So they're
From the
drawn to
house.
that ghost energy, man.
I was gonna say dumber theory that is better than your theory, which makes ghost sense. I'd say. I think what happens is so like as the Earth moves through space, it shifts slightly, and I think like it's turned like a quarter of a degree, and it like moved where the ghosts were on the world over there. There's some ghost who haunts like some building in London who's just like floating in the Thames, the River Thames now. He's like, I don't know, where am I? Bloody hell, where's my bed to make?
So eventually, Abby is going to be making the bed on like the Braga Bridge or something.
To be in the forest in Freetown or whatever the fuck,
Let's check the Bink scale. So a reminder: 1 is fully binked. We do not believe it. 10 is we're bonked.
There's ghosts.
It is
There's
full
binking.
ghosts
Ghosts are binking around in
full
there.
Ghosts.
You need 10 means it's so haunted. You need the full Bink squad to show up and
You need the full
de-haunt
Bink
it. That's-
squad, yeah.
Where the bingo meter is how much the Bink squad needs to show up.
I think that's a good way to put it.
So 10, the Bink squad, you got to call them right now. 0, Bink squad, we can take a
not even
vacation.
worth it,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll stay in Hawaii.
It's already binked.
The Bink squad, 0, the Bink squad, we have our feet up on chairs and we say, I can get used to this.
So-
We're sipping pina coladas.
I will say, as the ghost believer here, do I think there's a Lizzie Borden ghost? I don't know if it's Lizzie Borden specifically. There's probably a ghost. I'm gonna give it a 3. I don't think a lot of the things are really ghost evidence that we've touched upon. I'll give it a 3 just because I do think some powerful dark energy might manifest some ghostly spectral spirit, but wasn't too convinced by this one.
Yeah.
Brett, what do you think?
I went like a 2.
Yeah.
1.5, 2. Like, if you believe in spirits and however you want to phrase it, anywhere there's like a major traumatic event is a good place that spirits would remain.
Yeah.
So I think it's also a place that's had a lot of lore built up behind it to where you show up there kind of expecting something to happen.
You're pre-spooked.
Yeah. So I'd say
Yeah.
1.5.
You're gonna essentially manifest it into
Yeah.
a room right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
2.
All right, Killian, what do you think?
0. I think that two qualifications. 1, if the dad shows up, I'll bump you to a 1.
Okay.
If you solve the murder, if you open that, if
the
you
axe noise.
1, yeah, okay, sorry, 3 things. If the dad shows up, you get a 1 because the dad's nowhere to be seen. Andrew's been dead. He doesn't make the bed.
I think-
he doesn't take his shoes off.
Rich people paid to go to heaven, so he just...
That's what you hear his shoes scraping on the floor before he takes them off. So I'll do a 1. It's a 0 right now, but it's a 1 if the dad comes back. It's a 2 if you hear any the axe sounds or anything like that, any kind of cool. If you give me a thematic element, and then it's a 3 if you open that fucking drawer and solve the murder. It's a 3. I'll give you a 3 if you you just tell me who did it. I'll give you a 3. And then the other thing is, so a 0 for Lizzie Borden ghosts, a 10 for the little ghost kids who just wandered into the wrong house. And they're like, is Lizzie home to play? Is Lizzie home to play? And they just bounce a ball like assholes. Because that's got to be...
Yeah.
If a kid became a ghost, he would do that shit all day.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I've experienced that firsthand.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Killian, one thing, unfortunately, I don't think Ghost Andrew is ever coming back because usually when a dad leaves, he doesn't really come back.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, that's tough.
Jimmy, what do you think about this on the Bink scale?
All right, so I have a new working theory that just dropped. The kids are the demons that possess
Oh
Lizzie Borden.
my
Hell
god. Okay, so you think Lizzie was possessed?
I think that's certainly a possibility.
When were these kids murdered across the street?
Exactly.
So
Before or after?
It was before.
It was before Lizzie Borden did the
before,
thing.
Yeah.
really? Wow. I would not have guessed that. So you're in the house, you hear the ball bouncing, Jimmy,
Yeah.
and then you hear the kids laughing, and they say,
Yeah.
play with us, play with us.
Exactly.
And they say, and if you wake up and you go, what do you want? And they say, play with us, pick up the axe.
Yeah, exactly.
Pick up the axe.
Exactly.
And then you're
That
like,
shit.
what? And then you
And
look
then
at
you have a-
you
yeah.
look at your wife who's tucked in very tightly, and you're like, what? My arms are moving by themselves. And then you wake up hopefully before that comes to pass.
So I was gonna say it's a solid 4, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's removing that theory from it. Like, I think there's ghosts there, but I think these are horrible examples.
Based
of
on the
that.
stories, yeah, it's hard to prove
Yeah,
any sort
exactly.
of ghostly evidence.
I will say the first haunting, the stepmom gets killed by the dad. Her ghost possesses Lizzie Borden and has Lizzie kill the dad.
That's a
Whoa.
quick possession.
To get revenge.
That's a
It's
quick possession.
no,
That's real quick.
How long
turnaround.
does a ghost take?
I would think
Good
probably
question.
pretty instant.
Like an afternoon, maybe 2 hours, maybe like a
There was 30 minutes between
maybe
the
like
deaths.
a quick
believe.
pancake breakfast at the local IHOP.
I think you could probably turn into a ghost immediately.
You think you could pop right out?
They crack your skull open, you just go, you fly right out. That wraps up this episode. I want to thank all of our at-home binkers, our Bink Squad, for listening.
We're the Bink Squad.
We're the Bink
You're
Squad.
not in the Bink Squad, fellas.
No, we are the Ghost Binker. Okay,
They're
we'll figure it out.
We're the Bink Squad. We're the Ghost Binkers who are in the Bink Squad.
Okay.
They are people at home.
The Ghoul
They're the-
Gang.
hanging out.
They're the ghoulie pops.
They're the Ghoulie Pops.
I hate it. I can't.
Thank you all for listening. Whatever we end up calling you, please
Name yourself.
name yourself. Let us know. Send us an email, ghostbinkers@gmail.com, or you can follow us on social media at ghostbinkers on
Everything.
on everything. I think we have Twitter. A little update from last week.
I think.
I was banned. I was banned for some reason that was unknown.
Suspicious activity.
Suspicious
You catch a
activity.
suspicious activity. As soon as you start
Because
using
you're
the site,
posting shit like you tried to post on Instagram.
No, I didn't do that.
you're posting decapitated bodies.
I appealed it. They let me update like the bio and the like profile
The
picture.
19-year-old racist who checks appeals was like, yeah, hell yeah.
They did then pop up a banner that said that my account was suspended again. However, I'm still able to do everything. So do we have Twitter? I don't know.
Unclear.
Maybe we're a
We
ghost.
have the ghost of a Twitter.
We're a ghost on Twitter.
Wow.
Which is very fitting.
Where the Andrew disappeared completely from the story.
Lastly, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We would love a nice 5-star review. Links to the stories we read will be found in the Spooky Specimens, aka Ghoulie Bites.
Yep.
Ghoulie Bites.
Yeah. Also in the description, a link to a discount code for Chip Coffee's.
Chip Coffee's.
Chip Coffee's.
Chip Coffee's
Medium roast.
coffee chips. And lastly, thank you to the authors of these articles, because without you, we wouldn't be able to bink your articles, and we do appreciate you putting them out
all
in
good
the
fun.
world
Yeah.
for us to be able to do
I
this
really
podcast.
appreciate you all having different stories too. That's very helpful for me.
That's it for this episode. We will catch you on the next episode.
Medium roasties.
Trev, intentional haunting. We like shoot you at a prison wall. And I stab you, and you ghost pop out into somebody in the prison to like do a crime in the prison.
Oh, wow. Can I come back after that?
You are dead. You are a ghost. You can haunt.
Sacrifice we were willing to make.
You can haunt either side of that wall forever. You can tuck in prisoners and rattle the cages.
Huh. All right.